The story begins with a young man named Chung-wee, who is in the middle of filming a music video for his latest song. After finishing the shoot, he spends the night at a club, enjoying his time. However, the moment he spots his manager entering the venue, Chung-wee attempts to slip away unnoticed. In his hurried escape, Chung-wee accidentally bumps into someone, which quickly escalates into a fight. As a result of this incident, the following day, Chung-wee is sentenced to perform community service at a care facility for patients with chronic illnesses. Upon arriving at the hospital, located far from the bustling city, he is met with a crowd of reporters already waiting for him. Accompanied by his manager, Chung-wee formally apologizes for the altercation. Moments later, Chung-wee steps into the facility, where the head nurse introduces him to a woman named Kim Na, who will be overseeing his work during his time there. Na then explains Chung-wee duties, which include delivering letters to patients, cleaning work areas, and even washing patients' laundry. The thought of doing such menial tasks frustrates Chung-wee, making him feel humiliated, especially given his status as an idol. That same day, as he wanders around the hospital's surrounding neighborhood, Chung-wee, who is used to a carefree and glamorous life, finds himself deeply moved by the daily struggles of the patients. Seeking solitude, he retreats to a quiet spot, only to be approached by a patient named Mu-sung, a former gangster. Mu-sung nonchalantly asks for a cigarette, and though reluctant, Chung-wee hands one over. The next day, Chung-wee officially begins his community service. From delivering letters to assisting patients during mealtimes, he gradually adapts to his new routine. Once his tasks are completed, Na stamps his activity log, marking his progress for the day. Later, while resting in a vacant room, Chung-wee unexpectedly hears music playing nearby. Curious, he follows the sound and stumbles upon a group of patients rehearsing in a band. Among them are Na, Mu-sung, a young girl named Hoon, and a middle-aged man named Bo-sik. He soon learns that they are members of Phoenix Band, a group formed within the hospital. Observing from the window, Chung-wee watches them for a moment before returning to his room and falling asleep. The next morning, Chung-wee is running late for work when Hoon, the little girl from the band, comes to find him. As they talk, Hoon opens up about her illness, revealing that she doesn't have much time left. She then asks for a photo with Chung-wee, her idol. Touched by her innocence and bravery, Chung-wee immediately grants her request. Several days later, Chung-wee witnesses the passing of an elderly patient, a moment that triggers painful memories of his own mother, who had once lain in a hospital bed with his father by her side. However, for reasons unknown, this memory only deepens his resentment toward his father. After witnessing the incident, Chung-wee withdrew to be alone. Soon after, Na approached him, and he voiced his frustration, believing that the care facility was turning a blind eye to the patient's suffering. However, Na explained that the facility was actually a place where patients could feel at home. This only deepened Chung-wee's frustration, and he resolved to leave the hospital. As Chung-wee was about to leave, Mu-sung called out to him and revealed that he was battling a tumor. He advised Chung-wee to take care of himself and help others while he still could. Deeply moved by Mu-sung's words, Chung-wee abandoned his plan to leave. Sometime later, debt collectors arrived at the facility, demanding repayment. The head nurse pleaded for more time, but the collectors refused. Witnessing the confrontation, Mu-sung stepped in, using his former gangster persona to intimidate them. After the situation calmer, Na, Mu-sung, and Bong-sik decided to help the facility by auditioning for a music competition. However, they soon realized they needed an original song to qualify. Struggling to compose one, they noticed Chung-wee humming while working. Determined to recruit him, they tried various tactics to persuade Chung-wee to help them. Na even offered him 2 stamps per day, allowing him to complete his sentence faster. Despite their efforts, he remained unwilling to assist. Frustrated, Na assigned him more strenuous tasks. With no other option, Chung-wee complied, and his exhaustion finally overcame his insomnia, allowing him to sleep soundly at night. The next morning, Chung-wee's assistant, Koo-yeo, tried to convince him to help the hospital's band. Koo-yeo was certain they wouldn't pass the audition, so he reasoned that assisting them would shorten Chung-wee's sentence. Initially, Chung-wee refused, fearing media attention if the band succeeded. However, after some persuasion from Koo-yeo, he reluctantly agreed. That night, Chung-wee searched for an old song he had once written. Once he found it, he immediately handed the song to the Phoenix band members for evaluation. Additionally, Chung-wee also taught them how to properly play their instruments and assigned them the task of mastering his instructions within a day. The next day, the members of Phoenix band practiced diligently. However, during the session, Moo-sung struggled with his performance, leading to a heated argument among them. Frustrated, Moo-sung stormed off. As he walked away, Moo-sung overheard the head nurse on the phone, desperately seeking financial assistance to pay off the hospital's debt. That evening, as Chung-wee and Bong-sik sat together drinking, Moo-sung approached them, expressing his guilt and asking for another chance to rejoin the practice. Bong-sik was delighted, and Chung-wee agreed. Later, Chung-wee received news from his manager that a renowned producer had invited him to the United States once his sentence was complete. This motivated Chung-wee to finish his service quickly, and he declared to the band members that they were now a team. With renewed enthusiasm, he pushed them to train even harder. The following day, Chung-wee led the Phoenix band's practice with great energy. After the session, he invited Ana to go into town with him to look at guitars. On their way back, Chung-wee suggested that they should compose their own song, with lyrics reflecting their journey in the band and the hospital. However, before they could discuss further, a group of Chung-wee's fans spotted him and began chasing them. As they ran, Ana suddenly collapsed due to a relapse of her illness. Rushing her to the hospital, Chung-wee was struck by memories of his own mother, who had once been in the same situation. At the hospital, an employee from the care facility informed Chung-wee that Ana did not have much time left. When she regained consciousness, Chung-wee was visibly worried, and they decided to return to the facility. Once there, Chung-wee suggested that Ana seek further treatment. However, with a heavy heart, Ana explained that treatment had made her feel numb and constantly reminded her of death. She had chosen to stay at the facility because it allowed her to truly feel alive every day. The next day, outside the practice studio, Ana handed over lyrics she had written. As the band members read them, they were deeply moved by her heartfelt words. Then, it was Chung-wee's turn to compose the melody. That night, he eagerly experimented with the song, and by morning, he approached his duties at the care facility with newfound passion. Not only that, in an act of genuine kindness, Chung-wee even sang for a patient on their birthday, touching the hearts of both the patient's mother and everyone who heard his song. Later that night, Chung-wee finally gathered the courage to call his father. Through their conversation, he gained clarity about the misunderstanding surrounding his mother's death, breaking down in tears as he processed the truth. The next day, the head nurse gathered the patients to cheer for Phoenix Band, who would be auditioning the following day. She also announced that it would be Chung-wee's last day at the facility. As the group shared this moment, Moo-sung excused himself to the bathroom, but his worsening condition made it clear that his illness had taken a severe turn. The next day, before heading to the audition, the Phoenix Band's members took a group photo. When they arrived at the audition venue, they were met with a bustling crowd of participants. After a long wait, it was finally their turn to perform. The Phoenix Bands played with all their energy and passion, but in the middle of their performance, Moo-sung's illness suddenly relapsed, causing him to collapse. He was immediately rushed to the hospital, while Chung-wee tried desperately to convince the judges to let the band perform again. However, the organizers refused his request. Shortly after, Chung-wee's manager approached him and reminded him that their trip to America was only a week away. The manager was furious, sensing that Chung-wee was reluctant to leave the band and the care facility behind. Unbeknownst to them, and Na overheard their conversation and felt deeply betrayed, believing that Chung-wee had been using them all along. Back at the care facility, Mu-sung asked about Chung-wee's whereabouts, but Na, still upset, coldly replied that Chung-wee had completed his service and would not be returning. As Chung-wee rushed to the facility, he encountered Na, who vented her disappointment, accusing him of exploiting them. Due to this heartbreaking misunderstanding and their failure at the audition, the band members were left in sorrow. That night, Chung-wee returned home, where his manager reminded him about the press conference scheduled for the next day. The following day, during the press conference, just as the manager was about to make an announcement, Chung-wee interrupted him. He openly admitted that at first, he had indeed used Phoenix Band for his own benefit. However, as time passed, he had grown to genuinely believe in them, as well as in everyone at the care facility. The audience was stunned when Chung-wee went on to reveal that Phoenix Band would be holding a concert at the care facility that upcoming Saturday night. He encouraged everyone to contribute whatever they could to support the facility. With this statement, Chung-wee made it clear that he now prioritized helping the care facility over his own career. The news spread rapidly, and Na and the others were overjoyed upon hearing his declaration. Not long after, Chung-wee visited Mu-sung, who was lying in bed surrounded by the other band members. With a weak smile, Mu-sung handed his drumsticks to Chung-wee, and at that moment, a deep sorrow filled the room. Finally, the day of the concert arrived. The entire facility was bustling with preparations. A grand stage had been set up, and a large crowd had gathered to attend the event. Meanwhile, Chung-wee, sitting alone, was surprised by the sudden arrival of his father. Overcome with emotion, the two embraced. As night fell, the venue was packed with attendees. The event commenced with a heartfelt video, showcasing the personal stories of each Phoenix Band member, all of whom were battling chronic illnesses. The first story featured Bong-sik, who spoke about his illness and how it had prevented him from being a good father to his daughter. Next was Na, who shared her own struggles of being alone, having lost both her parents long ago. Through her tears, she expressed her wish to live longer and experience love, if only given the chance. Now it was Haun's turn. At that moment, tears fell from the eyes of everyone present. On the large screen, Haun shared her heartfelt wish that when she passed away, she hoped God would send another daughter like her to her parents, so they would not feel alone. Next, it was Mu-sung's turn. He expressed his gratitude to everyone who had cared for him, saying that their kindness had made him truly happy. At that very moment, lying in his bed at the care home, Mu-sung took his final breath. Lastly, a mother, also a patient, tearfully apologized to her young son, knowing she would not be able to stay by his side much longer. At that moment, the audience was overcome with emotion, deeply moved by the patient's stories that felt like final farewells to their loved ones. Amidst the sorrow, the Phoenix Band took the stage, attempting to lift the spirits of those in attendance with a song they had written themselves. Before performing, Na addressed the audience, encouraging them to continue living their lives to the fullest. After saying this, the Phoenix Band began their performance, radiating pure joy, as if momentarily forgetting that their time was limited. As a result, the audience was both touched and uplifted by their music. As the song progressed, the band introduced each member, and in a heartfelt moment, Chung-wee confessed his feelings for Na. Their performance was mesmerizing, bringing the crowd to a frenzy of cheers and applause. As the night drew to a close, the concert ended. In the final scene, a series of photographs was displayed, showing the Phoenix Band over the years, each generation changing as members succumbed to their illnesses. However, one thing remained constant. Chung-wee was always there, as if he had dedicated himself to the care home and its patients. And with that, the story came to an end. Moral lesson from the story: if you think washing patients' laundry is humiliating, just wait until you realize how much you've been humiliating yourself by not helping others. Also, if you're ever feeling too cool for community service, remember, Even gangsters need drummers.